Hey, how's it going, everyone? Nick Salzman here. Just want to thank you guys all for your support you had this year. I wanted to take this time to make a quick little video that you guys can see some of the charts that are in my new book. And we're going to talk about some of the stuff that's on here. How can we read it? How can we interpret it? And how we can navigate. So we're going to go ahead and open up with the very first one we can see here. Basically what this happens to do is when we have people, or maybe yourself, or feeling off, or there might be something going on with this person and you're interested on what may be affecting them energetically, this first chart is going to be really helpful for that. I have it labeled right here: what is interfering with my energy body's overall health? Very simple question to ask. So some of the things that we can come out with on here: disincarnate and energy field, psychic holes and aura, all this kind of stuff, astral fragments from womb. I have a lot of different things that are on here that can make people feel off, or maybe help us point to the direction of where the root is. So with that being said, if I was to ask a question for a person, I'm using this this Verba pendulum. I've been really enjoying it. It definitely helps navigate these charts really well, makes it really easy to read. If I was looking at someone's photo, or if someone was asking me to look at them, or maybe I was even curious about, a baby or whatever the case is, right? We would ask, universal knowledge first for permission to ask questions about them. Then second would be, what is interfering with the energy body's overall health and well-being? Okay, so it'll give you a reading on something, and then you can say, okay, thank you. Is there anything else on this chart that, relates to this person? So you can go through this. This chart is really helpful in kind of finding some of the distortions and stuff of what could be the root of some of these problems. I'll help talk about a little bit with them. Let's say the home needs to be properly cleared. Sounds like we got some stagnant energy in the home that, whether it's an entity or whether it's just emotional and mental energy just accumulated over the years, needs to be cleared out. Psychic holes in the aura, definitely something you're going to find when you have people that have taken a lot of medications for like anxiety, sleep, depression, these kinds of things. They can create holes in our aura and make us more prone to experiencing fatigue and become like spirit attachment. Disincarnate and energy field, that's real super simple. That just says that there's pretty much an entity that's attached to them. Astral fragments in the reproductive system, usually what's there after the remnants of any like abortions or miscarriages or absorbed twins or any of that kind of stuff. Usually that's what astral fragments are. We can cleanse those too. Chakras out of balance, absorbed twin in the family lineage. I see these connected a lot when there's like different hereditary tumors and cancers and sometimes even skin conditions in the family. I usually find that somewhere along the line in their family lineage there's an absorbed twin. So a little bit more detailed, residual haunt in the home and earthbound, toxic womb syndrome. I have a few different of these that are on here that basically just talk about how when the mother was pregnant and we were within the womb, these are some of the things that we experienced that kind of gave us like a natural sensitivity. So when we do our healing with that area, we want to take our healing to the point of inception, that point of fertilization when our physical body was created. From there, we tap into both parents and work on their emotions and work on what mom was experiencing, whether it be from arguing or fighting, some kind of abuse. Maybe it was alcohol or drugs, or maybe it was like severe depression. Either way, that's definitely a place where we can send a lot of healing. Emotional attachments is usually what throws us off and creates blockages and all that good stuff. Poltergeist energy in the home, that's mental energy. That's stuff we can easily scramble and neutralize and get out. Astral fragments from womb. This one's a little different. These you're usually going to find up around the thymus chakra, which is kind of located up between the shoulders. This is usually like if there was let's say someone had like a stillborn, right? And then the same mother ended up having like one or two more kids later. They could possibly have astral fragments from the womb attached to their thymus chakra, and that'll just give you a host of different issues with like your circulatory system, tons of different autoimmune issues and stuff. And so we can get in there and we can heal that and balance that and help that with us too. Okay, other one, lack of grounding energy. People that have a lot of issues with their joints and with their legs, with their knees, their ankles, usually have lack of grounding energy. Sometimes we just see it as people that are just like kind of a spaz and all over the place, but blockages is also an indication of lack of grounding. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next chart. Sorry, as you can see, it's not brand new. I've got plenty of use out of this one. So this is one I use daily. Something that every time I make these charts, they're never fully complete, and there's always ways to do them better every time I do them. So this is the latest one. When I make a new one, it'll probably be a little bit different, but for now we'll talk about this, okay? So when we have an earthbound or something, a haunting that's in our home, we have some weird stuff going on, or maybe a friend has something going on and you're just curious and I want to ask questions about it, okay? Even when we're talking about someone that has a spirit attachment, we can identify how many do we have, first of all, right? And then what I have is these 3 subsections: human, sub-associated, dissociated personalities, and non-human entities, okay? The majority of stuff you're going to find is going to be in this section and this section. There's not a ton that you're going to come across here. It's out there, but these are going to be more of the areas when you're trying to clear houses, okay? So we'll talk a little bit about this, okay? Malevolent spirit. Malevolent spirit is kind of just an ornery spirit, something that's just kind of like rude and grumpy. You wouldn't really call them bad, but just, you know, kind of like grumpy, right? Earthbound is just kind of like just an earthbound spirit. Usually some sort of lack of understanding or trauma holds them back, maybe even fear of like wanting to cross over because of religious dogma or something. But usually an earthbound spirit is just around, they exist, and they just kind of need a little nudge, okay? A perverse entity is one that will definitely kind of mess with you. Sometimes people get touched when they're sleeping, or, you know what I mean, it just kind of knocks things around or whatever. Perverse entity definitely can be somewhat problematic, but once we identify that they really just need help, that's yeah, it's a big way to help these things, just knowing that they need help. Kui, that's another term for a spirit that basically just didn't have the proper burial rites or like their wishes done upon birth. Like say someone was cremated and they wanted to have their ashes spread at the beach, and instead you kept them inside and you put them up in your attic. You know, they could be kind of Kui-like, but like I said, this is just trying to help you guys understand what these are. Astral fragment. Astral fragment's going to be what you find if there's like energetic remnants from abortions, miscarriages, stillborns, absorbed twins. That's where your astral fragments are going to come from. Shade is going to be basically kind of like a lower level being. There's something that I wouldn't say that they're harmless. They can be problematic. Some people would see them more like shadow people, but these would be the ones that look more like blobs, don't have necessarily colored eyes, and they just kind of like float freely, and most of the time just try and hide. The shades, they get pulled through. We can connect with them through a mental connection, and we can send them healing energy and get them back to where they need to be. Okay, family member, pretty obvious. This is one that you're going to find a lot, because a lot of us, as soon as we get into doing spiritual clearings and this and that, these are going to be the first things that you're going to come across as family members, previous family members, even ones that you probably didn't get along with, or ones that were kind of rough in life. They'll definitely come back looking for help. So family members are awesome. Residual suicide, when you move into the home of someone that killed himself within the home, you're going to find this, okay? Child spirit, self-explanatory, that child. Trapped spirits. This is one I want to talk with you a little bit about. I have it labeled here as trapped spirits, but I also call this a collective. And basically what these are, this is going to be like a small group of entities where like sometimes they're associated from drug and alcohol overdoses. Sometimes they're associated through cancers and tumors. Sometimes they're associated through suicides. So like you have, let's say you have a person, they're really depressed and they kill themselves. Well, when they die, they still feel very much alive. They experience their pain still, their anguish, they're in a really rough state. They don't think that they successfully killed themselves. So what happens is when a sibling or a loved one or someone like them or close to them grieves for them, they come close to them to comfort them, show them, hey, I'm still here. But we as humans with our physical body, when we have those powerful emotions like grief and just everything that, you know, that's really, really heavy like that, it can make these things stuck to us. So what happens is their thoughts and feelings and desires of, you know, fascinating about killing themselves or whatever the case is, start floating into the mind of the living. And that's how it can influence them and take people that seemingly be very happy, and then all of a sudden you find out that, you know, they take their own life. This is a big thing going on right now. So what happens is these trapped spirits stay together in like a group, and it can be affected down to family lineage. I've seen them in groups as more of like 6 or more, but the good news is anytime we have one of these trapped spirits or a collective that's there, we can connect with them all at the exact same time and treat them all at the exact same time. So it's not like you have to go one in individually. They are all together. You can heal them all at the exact same time. Usually with the trapped spirits, there's going to be something else that's blocking the way. That's why they're trapped. So it would be best to, after you treat these, to do the unfolding on it to find the revealed entity that's going to be holding on or holding them back from being healed. A lot of times you're going to find that also with residual suicides too. Dark technician, I couldn't find a real good term for it, but a technician is basically an entity that is smart enough. This is a human entity that's smart enough that knows how to hide from people, that knows how to hide and not be seen. And so I was just thinking, you know, okay, someone that's really smart is probably like a technician. And so maybe dark technician. And so that's basically the description of that. Is this thing is dead, it knows it, it's aware of it, and it doesn't want to be found, usually because it's afraid of being punished for it being kind of bad or rough or hurting people or whatever the case was, right? But we're here to reunite them with love and reunite them with light. They need to understand that our souls likely have similar experiences, and from this side of the veil where we're at right now, we can help them tremendously. And so really that's the biggest thing that we can do, is take some of these dark technicians, or what people would probably think is like a demon, take those, help them, heal them, and get them back into the light. So when we heal these ones, there's a good chance though that after we heal one, they're going to find others, whether they're family or friends or other ones that are like them, and they're going to bring them to you because you know how to undo everything. You know how to get them healed into the light. And so what that's going to do is not only is it going to give you more practice, but these guys oftentimes, if they live a rough life and they're mean to people, when they get to the other side, when we help them cross over, then they turn around and become service. They want to operate from service, and they want to help, and they want to assist. And so what offsets some of the negative stuff that they do in life is they find the other lost brothers and sisters of theirs, and they bring them to you so you can help them, and they now become they operate at a level of service. And because of that, oftentimes stick around as a being of light to protect you, to keep you doing the work. So the more we help, the more they protect us and help us too. So disassociated personality, subpersonality, self-induced poltergeist, mind fragments. This is a really, really big topic, and I suggest if you guys haven't already picked up my second book, Pendulum, Apometrics, it's the one with the purple cover. Take a look at that before I get into all this, because I could easily talk about this for a really long time, and there's still stuff I want to move through without giving you guys too much, okay? So we'll move over to what is over here, what we consider the non-human entities. And what's non-human is something that doesn't have a soul, okay? Something that wasn't human before, that's usually created out of some sort of a mental energy, okay? So one of the biggest things you're going to come across, right, is going to be something that's like a poltergeist, okay? Poltergeist energies can be created from teenagers. We know that they can move stuff around the house. What in German it means like noisy ghost or something, right? But poltergeist energy is something that's created purely out of mental energy, and they can be created through trauma too. So like say when we were dealing with, say back over here with the residual suicides, someone killed themselves, the anguish that they experienced through their life, and then upon the time where they decided to take their own life, detaches and can remain in the house as a poltergeist. This poltergeist can basically be an energy food source for darker energies that are looking to feed off of that kind of fear. We don't see them as negative or bad. We just see it as that's what they feed off of, kind of, because that's what they are. It's like a mosquito that feeds off of blood. They need to find a host, and they live on them, basically drinking life force blood like a parasite. But we don't see them as bad. We just see them as that's just kind of the way that they are. So that's really how it is, the way that they are. One of the ones that you're probably going to see, what terrifies people the most, is the Ifrit. These are the things you're going to find with red eyes, and they come in a few different forms. Sometimes you see them as snakes, sometimes you see them as winged creatures, and sometimes they can be in the shape of like small animals. But usually the distinction is you tell them right apart because they have red glowing eyes, okay? And what this is, the Eastern, in Islam they would call them jinn. And so an Ifrit is a supernatural entity that's non-human. They were basically another form of consciousness that was before humankind. They are without physical body, but they do have capabilities that are different than you and I. They're able to materialize and dematerialize things. They can be from one place to another. They can jump simultaneously. They're very fast. But the one thing that we hold over them is that we are human and we have a physical body. That means we have a strong electromagnetic field. People can hold dominion over Ifrit with magic. That is like the crossroads between human and Ifrit, is magic. And unfortunately, people can take these things and kind of trap them and make them do stuff for them. You hear people in Afghanistan and Pakistan, oh, go see so-and-so, they have a jinn that can bring you good luck, or go bring you a husband, or, you know, whatever, right? There's all these things that make these jinn do. Well, sometimes people can make these jinn do bad things to people, right? And if you're familiar with like pit bulls, a lot of people know pit bulls are really, really friendly and they're really good family dogs and they're very protective over children. But at the same time, they also got a pretty bad rap because people abuse them. They are vicious and they can also be very good fighting dogs. Just like with anything, right? It's how we treat them. So they get polarized with these motives to hurt, and they kind of get stuck that way. And so when we come around them, they really do not want to interact with us. They do not want to be here. They don't want to be around us. And so they want to be released. And so once you learn that all we have to do is treat them with love and understanding. Some of my other videos, we talk about how to connect with them on a mental level, how to take away their pain, how to take away their memories of pain, and then to nourish them, make them feel full, content, and complete again. When we can do that, it really makes them in a good state, and then it makes it a lot easier to get them sent off. Now understand that Ifrit is non-human, so it does not go to the light, okay? It goes back to the dimension that best serves its spiritual evolution, or you can say send it back to its home, because it doesn't go to the light. It's not part of the light. These things were born from smokeless fire. They're a different energy altogether. So like a venomous snake can be really, really dangerous just to handle for a novice. We can get bit, it can hurt us and kill us with the poison. But if we are familiar with the snake and we know where to grab the snake and what kind of tools to use to approach the snake, we can render that snake just about harmless to us. The danger is still there, but if we know how to handle it with love and respect, it won't get upset or go to try and strike us because it trusts us and it knows it. So my experience, the more I find these and the more that these keep coming up, they never try and attack because they know that you know how to help them, and so they'll wait and they won't bother you. But just understand that this is going to be probably one of the stronger entities you're going to come across when you try and do clearings and stuff, okay? Shadow person, it's going to be almost like kind of like a shade. Only difference is the shadow person usually is going to be attracted to more fear energy. They like the fear energy. They like the anxiety that's there. It's very compatible with them. And a lot of times when people do drugs, like specifically like heroin and methamphetamines and this and that, it can really bring on shadow person phenomenon into your life and really make them like follow you around, and it really drives people crazy. So just understand that their origin is on a mental level, and we can clear them exactly the same way as we clear all other mental energies. We heal them, treat them, and send them back to the universal mind. Okay, succubus, incubus, these are those weird shadow entities that can make us, for a lack of a better term, experience sexual sensations and dreams, sometimes with things that are cool, sometimes with things that aren't cool. One of the things that you're experiencing these around too is the heaviness on the chest that's there too, and some of these other entities can have one of these attached to them. And so, you know, it wouldn't be outside of the realm of thinking, if you had someone that was abusive sexually and physically, to have a dream about somebody doing that kind of stuff. If that's the case, and the chances are is you have a succubus and an incubus attached. They are non-human. Heal them, treat them, send them back to the universal mind, okay? So when we're talking about multiple unfoldment and finding different entities, right, we want to first look at, okay, universal knowledge. You know, let's say it pointed us towards a residual suicide. Okay, we have residual suicide in the house. The next thing that I would ask is, okay, do we have any entities attached to this poltergeist? Or, excuse me, to the residual suicide? And say yes. And chances are what's going to be attached to it is going to be poltergeist energy, because if they kill themselves, they're going to produce one that lingers in there. And then from there, I'd ask, okay, thank you, is there any entities attached to the poltergeist? Okay. And if you get a yes, so chances are it's probably going to go to something that I find would be like an Ifrit, or sometimes a dark technician, something behind the scene. Think of it like finding a little guy behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. You're talking to the big, strong, scary face, but really it's a tiny little guy in the background. We got to go ahead and heal and treat, and then we can get them moved on, okay? So I'm not going to get too much into the elemental stuff, but just understand that if you do come across any things that's an elemental energy, treat them with love and respect, send them love, send them gratitude, and then get them back to where they need to go in the dimension that best serves their spiritual evolution. Very similar to non-human. That's why I put them in there. Elemental energies are a little different, but they also fall into the non-human category. So that's why I put that in there. Okay. For those of you guys that got my second book, it deals with a lot of development of subpersonalities and multiple personalities, and just disassociation of consciousness altogether. Okay. So what we can look at with this chart is we can find if someone's alive and say they have a developed subpersonality or something, okay, something going on with them. We can find on this outer ring if it was within this current life, a past lifetime, or maybe young age of childhood, okay? From there, here's a few of these different examples of how people can lose consciousness, okay? And what can lead to consciousness disassociating. And so what this does is this helps us understand where the healing needs to go. I mean, some of the big ones is repressed emotions. Maybe you were, one way, and then your parents told you weren't allowed to be that way because that's not what the family was, okay? That's an example of repressed emotions. Maybe you attempted a suicide and you're holding on to that guilt for a while, okay? That kind of stuff can cause disassociation, or even a fall from a great height or being knocked out. Sexual trauma is huge. That's when it definitely disassociates, because when the body or when the consciousness does that, it's like a defense mechanism. If it's too overwhelming to process, usually what it does is it'll detach and kind of stay in the back of our mind, so that way we don't have to think about it. But what happens is those memories are charged with a negative polarity, and what that kind of stuff can do can bring in other entities into our life that also have that kind of issue, I guess you can say, that have those kind of memories. So repressed memories of trauma, abandonment. Maybe it's from self-defense and they feel like they have to stand up for themselves. Witnessing a death, fighting in a war, survival. Loneliness is a big one. Hostility and hate definitely keeps people around. Starvation and thirst. It definitely is something that I think is pretty common, that's widely overlooked. And that is, we know there are such things as entities that want to stick around and, maybe experience cigarettes or alcohol or drugs or sex or whatever. But most of the time, they get really angry because they're thirsty and they can't drink, or they're hungry and they can't eat, and they just really don't know what's going on. So that's going to be a really good one to go here to help kind of point the direction of where the healing needs to go for that. And in here, I put in just a kind of a few protocols that I think can help us kind of guide what we want to do. We can just say like, okay, universal knowledge, which protocol would you have me do first when working on this person? Okay. Nurse to Christ Spark. Okay, thank you. Is there anything else you would like me to do on this person? Perfect. What else would you like me to do? Return to core of spirit. Okay, so what you can do until you get a good memory and you memorize some of these steps and what comes after the others, you can write them down on a piece of paper. Then that way you have a pathway of learning how to heal and learning how to help these things and making sure that they get a chance to experience peace. And when you do that, you're going to have it in your life too. So I really hope you guys enjoyed some of this explanation. I know I've been meaning to do this for a while and I just haven't done it, but I really hope you guys enjoy the book so far. I really hope you guys have been enjoying these new Furba pendulums. If you guys haven't seen them yet, dude, these are powerful for distance clearing, and I love that they have the nice 7-pointed star tip on it. It makes it really easy to read on these charts. Super powerful pendulum. It's gold-plated brass. It's pretty lightweight. And if you haven't seen yet, it's the brand new one that's just coming out, okay? I'm going to have these available right around Christmas time, maybe not just before. This is my Ach pendulum, okay? This one is specifically engineered to make distance clearings and healings, not just of people dead, but also within the physical. It's super responsive, it's super fast, and I think you're going to love the energy on this one. It's unlike anything else that I've made before, and I think with what I got to show you guys coming up soon about how all this works and everything else that I have to show you yet that I haven't yet, this is going to make a lot of sense. So what I can tell you is 25 of these are going to be made. They're going to be made out of aluminum. They're going to be gold plated. So I don't think there's any aluminum pendulums that are out in the market right now, but this will definitely be the first. And let me tell you, the energy properties are great. So you guys can see on the other posts on this page some more of the description that's on there. Go to pendulumapometrics.com. You can secure yours. I'm making 25 right now. I'm hoping that I can make some of my pendulums in wood right now. That's what I'm looking into. But right now I'm going to make 25 of these only. So if you want one, 85 bucks, free shipping anywhere in the world. So love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you got any questions, please put them down and I'll get back to them. Share this video. Let people know that, there's a lot of cool things that we can do. If you have any questions about anything, just feel free. Drop a message. Appreciate you guys.